Hey, what's up, guys? Kyle Romaguz, Engine Company Resurrection. So I'm here at home on my day off today, and I'm listening to an audiobook. If you guys haven't read it or listened to it on audiobook, it's a great book, man. It's about the Worcester coal storage fire in Worcester, Massachusetts. It's called 3,000 Degrees. And so I get to this point in this audiobook where one of the guys, he's talking about being trapped in a room, man. And I'll put the clip of this audio, just a short little snippet, kind of put you where my mind frame was.
They felt their way down one set of stairs, then a second flight. Coakley felt for the door into the 5th floor, pushed it open, then dropped to his knees. Bert was immediately behind him, one gloved hand holding tight to Coakley's coat. They crawled inside the 5th floor, trying to move in a straight line, aiming for the firewall on the far side. Coakley felt for a wall, something to keep his bearings. His air tank had already been tapped, part of it already inhaled. They'd have only about 10 minutes inside, and only if they controlled their breathing, kept it steady. Coakley felt something solid to his right. He swept his hand up, then down, moved it in a wide circle. A wall. He scooted forward, keeping in contact with the flat surface on his right. After a minute or so, he came to an inside corner. He shuffled left, keeping the wall to his right. More crawling. Another corner. Then a third, and a fourth. Coakley's throat tightened. I'm in a fucking room. But he hadn't felt a door. A 4-sided room had to have a door. They'd gotten in, there had to be a way out. He kept moving, his knees scraping faster over the same stretch of warehouse floor he'd been around once. 4 more corners. Coakley shifted his arm higher, up where the door handle should be. He remembered the iron rings lay flush, nestled in pockets, but maybe he could feel one in the dark. 4 more corners. Still no door. His heart raced. "Bert!" he yelled over his shoulder. "We're going to die in here!" He crawled forward, quelled the panic rising inside. He said the same words to himself, believed them. "I'm going to fucking die."
And it reminded me of a story that a senior guy told me. And I wanted to share it with you guys, so I actually drove to the fire station where he was working at today, and shot a little video clip with him that I'm going to put here. But I think, me personally, I think the story, the first time I heard it, I was blown away at, it was like an aha moment. And I haven't had too many of those at the fire station that I work at. I didn't grow up with a senior man, so I tend to gravitate towards the senior guys and kind of pester him about old stories about the the war years and stuff. And this story was it's really gold, man. And this is first time I heard it, I was like, man, that's book worthy, and some people may think it's kind of dumb, man, but I think it's fantastic, man. And the best part about it is that he's able to sit down at a kitchen table with us, and tell us these kind of stories. So like I said, I caught him at the fire station today, and I shot a little video clip with him to explain the story to you guys, man, because I think it's very beneficial information, especially for young guys. And hell, I've got 14 years in the fire service, man, and it was an aha moment for me when he told me. But I'll let him explain it, man, so here you go.
Hey, just want everybody to know, my name is Roy Gonzalez, and I was with the Houston Fire Department for 35 years. I retired in 2014. And went to join the New Caney Fire Department 6 months after I had retired. And one night I was sitting with Captain Romaguz and a rookie, and he had asked me, hey, is there any stories that stand out, in my career? And I said, well, yeah, there's one. It's kind of, people are going to probably have different opinions and say it's kind of silly that, it's crazy what happened to me. I said, but this really can happen. Well, anyway, one evening we were sitting at the station, and we was at Station 14 in Houston. And, we always had kids coming across the street, knocking on, there was an apartment complex, an old apartment complex, a wooden apartment complex. And the kids were always coming across the street and knock on the door, and most of the time they wanted change to buy a soda out of the soda machine we had on the apparatus floor. And one evening, like I said, they come knock on the door. We're kind of sitting there, like firemen do. And we holler, yeah, what do y'all want? And they opened the door and they said, we think our apartment's on fire. Well, we jumped up, and sure enough, I mean, there was smoke already coming into the station. I mean, this was probably one of the, I mean, there was so much smoke, it was incredible. We had enough time to pull the engine out on the front slab, because that's as far as we were going to go anyway. And went in, and it was on the bottom floor that was like storage that was on fire. We had gone in there and put some water on it and waiting for the other units to get there. So of course we were there ahead of everybody by, it seems like forever when you're by yourself, of course. Yeah. And so we were in there, and by the time everyone got there, we're fighting fire. We ended up coming out back to the slab by our pumper because we needed to change out bottles. And so we're there, we're changing out bottles, and some lady comes running up to us and says, "Hey, I think there's still some kids, my babies are up there," something of that sort. So it was like, okay, we're changing our bottles out, and we're going right up there. You know, we're going up to the second floor, yeah. So funny thing, there was a guy that was there that was listening also. He has a bandana on, and he kind of taps me on the shoulder while I was bending over having my bottle changed out, and he goes, "Hey, I don't know how long I can stay with you guys, but I'm going with y'all." And I looked over at him and I said, "No, sir, you aren't going with us." I said, "It's already hard enough for us going up there looking for people. We don't need to drag you out too, you know." So okay. So anyway, me and my partner, his name was McFarland, and he said, "Okay, we're going to go up there." You know, we did it all pretty quick, and got our bottles out. And like I said, this apartment complex, the stairwell was an old apartment, and we had to go up like the inside of a stairwell to get into a hallway. These apartments. So the doors, the front doors were actually on the inside. And so we got up there, and we had a line with us. Said, "Okay, let's leave the line here. You go to the right, I'm going to go to the left." And I ended up going to the left and stuff, and went into the first door that was open, and started looking around, and was hitting the walls and trying to reach as far as I could to see if I could find any kids or just anybody, because they said they thought that they still had people up there. And come to find out, after I'm looking around for a little while, I said, "Okay, my bottle's starting to go off again now, because it's how long we've been up there, but of course, you're sucking air, and back then, I think we had a 30-minute bottle, and it lasted you about 15 minutes if you were lucky.
Second bottle, heart rate's up.
Yeah, and so okay, I got to find my way out. So I was saying, my bottle was going out, and I was having to find my way out now myself, because I hadn't found anyone yet. And of course, back then too, we didn't have radios to communicate with anyone else, and it was just the chief, and I think our captains might have had a radio at the time. So I am up there by myself at this time, and I keep bumping into walls. I hit one wall, hit another wall, and I'm like, man, where in the heck am I? And I cannot figure out where I'm at. And I'm starting to get a little scared. I'm not in panic mode. But I said, okay, let me do this some more. So I'm still, I'm looking, and I'm still running into walls. And finally, I was reaching down low enough, and I found a toilet. And I said, well, I know I'm in a bathroom. And I know that sounds kind of crazy. And I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and sit on this toilet. Something just kind of, come to my head and said, I got to sit on this toilet, because I know if I sit here, there's no way out behind me unless there's a window. I'll check for that, but there's got to be a door right around in here. So actually what I did was I sat on the toilet, got my bearings together, and kept my one hand on the toilet and started reaching to about the height where I thought a doorknob was. And I actually came across a doorknob and stuff, and I was actually locked in a bathroom. And I know some of you guys may be laughing and stuff. I said, but it can happen, and it will happen. So, as small as this room was, I was in a bathroom and couldn't find my way out, and was able to open that door and be able to crawl out, and the place is still filled with smoke, so I'm still having to go to phase 2 now to still try to get out. And it just so happened that, like I said, I'm thinking God was looking after me, and there was a little clearing over to my left-hand side, which was a window. And I walked over to the window, busted that window out, and hollered for the guys downstairs to get me a ladder so I could get out of there, because I was running out of air, and I actually had to hang out the window for them, you know, by the time they got a ladder, because by that time I had fire, smoke, and everything else, and I was just happy to get out of that room that I was locked in. But like I said, for the most part, I didn't go into panic mode, but I was scared, and just glad that I found that toilet seat. So that is my story.
Man, that's gold. That's a really good one, man.
Yes, sir. So
Yes, sir.
I'm glad I lived to talk about it.
Yeah, no kidding.
And they didn't find me in the bathroom.
No kidding. Well, thanks, brother.
All right. Thank
I
you.
appreciate you, man.
All right. That's the part that you think about. Like I said, a lot of younger guys nowadays, we do have a lot of stuff. Our job is, I think even now it's more dangerous than what it was back then. We just didn't have the technology that you guys have now.
Yeah.
And to some point, with the new technology that we have, it does help save lives, but sometimes it can be over demanding. Like I said, with the reed hoods and sock hoods and stuff now that we use.
Yeah.
You know, back then we didn't have those things. We didn't even run in with air packs.
Mm-hmm.
And you were in there. You're 10 minutes. I'm guessing we stayed that long.
Yeah.
And by then your ears and stuff were burning out, and you were knocking down the fire pretty good, and you were getting out of there. You know, so there's a. I said, with no radio back then, I didn't have a choice. You know, and I didn't want to panic.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
The biggest thing is that you were able to keep your wits about you in that position.
Yeah.
You know, not panic, not
Yeah.
curl up in the fetal position. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, and really nobody really knows what they're going to do
Yeah.
until they're in a situation like that.
Yep.
So did y'all have like a Mayday policy back then? Was that even a part of the protocols back then?
No, to be honest with you, I personally don't remember that we actually had anything that we said, you know, that we were going to call a Mayday.
Yeah.
Because normally we were going up there in pairs also, you know, and you stayed with your partner. But in this scenario, because, you know, there was maybe kids trapped, we figured he was just going to go to the right, I was going to go to the left. You know, we think our job is simple sometimes, that we're going to stick to the wall, and, you know, we went in this way, we're going to come back out the same way. It doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. And even if you had one, I mean, you didn't have a radio on you to call
yeah,
the Mayday,
exactly.
you know.
Exactly. We didn't have radios back then, and so that changes a lot of your tactics and how you're going to do things. You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, it's we've come a long ways, but also, you know, a lot of guys back then, we were able to get a few stories under our belts and be able to talk to the younger guys. And, you know, some are going to laugh at us, and some are going to say, hey,
Yeah.
you know, some of this information is pretty good.
Yeah, man.
So
I think that's gold, man. I can honestly tell you that if I'm ever trapped in a bathroom, that is the first thing that I'm
well,
going to
if
do
you're
is
just
find the
trapped,
toilet.
period, you're going to see if you're in a bathroom.
Yeah,
You're gonna be, okay,
look out for the
let
toilet,
me see if
man.
I can find a toilet.
Yeah, man.
Correct.
That's gold, man.
Yeah.
So when you were going across the walls and stuff, was it just like out of reach, the doorknob, when you were swiping the? Because I imagine you were swiping up the walls. When
Oh
you were
yeah, I
going
mean,
around.
I felt like I was reaching everywhere, and I might have hit that doorknob a few times, you know. But with what's going on at the time and stuff, until, like I said, until you figure out, okay, I'm locked in some room or something, you know,
Yeah.
and then that's when you say, okay, I got to slow down, take a minute, and figure out how to get out of here,
Yeah, man.
you know. And I'm guessing, you know, finding the toilet, that kind of light bulb went off and said, hey, let me go ahead and sit here for a second. And, you know,
Yeah.
I know there's a door.
There's got to be. You got in here.
Got to be a door.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it worked out for me.
Excellent. What was Mac doing? Did you ever talk to Mac? I mean, obviously he's at your station.
Yeah. I mean, we both. He had already gone and come down and stuff. They ended up sending me to the hospital just because of what had happened to me, and actually had to run out of air by the time they had gotten the ladder up there, and that's why I was hanging out the window.
Yeah.
And sucked in a little bit of smoke. I was okay, but it was, hey, just go to the hospital and stuff. Let them check you out.
Yeah.
So, but Mac, yeah, everybody made it out okay, and it turned out there wasn't any kids up there.
Yeah.
But you know, when they holler that stuff, you just don't say, well, maybe there isn't, and not go up there. You
Yeah.
know? So,
Yeah, you got to go.
you know, yeah, you got to do what you got to do. And I don't ever know what happened to that guy with the bandana either. But he was willing to help.
Yeah, man. You know, that just goes to show you that, you know, even the buildings across the street, man. As you talk
Yeah.
about that apartment complex right across the street.
Oh
from the
yeah,
fire
it was.
station.
I mean, like I said, it was right across the street, and
Wow.
and when we're talking there in the Heights and stuff, this across the street, you're talking about 10 of our driveway right here, not even across the street over there where that white fence is. We're talking 20 yards or so, 30 yards,
Wow.
and that's where it was. I mean, our slab was just enough room to pull the pumper out there on for us to wash it and check it out in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was the street and then the apartment complex right there.
Wow.
So, yeah, it wasn't a whole lot of room. We had enough time to pull that pumper out, pull the line out there, you know, and I don't understand. I mean, I do understand, but it's probably one of the smokiest fires I've ever been in. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I guess I do, but I mean, there was just so much smoke and laying low. I mean, the whole station was filled with smoke.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it was one of those kind of fires, and that's how close we were to it. So, but
That's awesome.
but
Great
yes, sir.
story, man. That was
Well,
a great one.
If I can think of another good one, there's a bunch of good ones, but that's the one that personally affected me. That you know, that I guess I always remember, and it's funny because I tell it.
Yeah.
So, just want to see what people's reactions are going to be, and they say, "Oh man, what a dumbass! he got lost in a bathroom."
Yeah, man. It happen to anybody, man. You know,
So-
like we were talking about before, you know, nobody really knows what they're going to do until they're in that situation. Are you going to panic? Are you going to
Yeah.
try to orientate yourself like you did?
Yeah.
You know, are you going to stay calm? You know, your lower air alarm's going off already. You
Yeah.
know, so, I mean, it's awesome, though. But I tell you what, if I'm ever trapped in a small room, first thing I'm doing now is looking for a toilet.
There you go.
That's awesome, man.
Now I didn't have enough air left to take a shower.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.